Alright, YouTube, rather than wait for a bunch of other people to comb through Wikileaks' latest revelations, I decided to do a little bit of digging myself, specifically into a Podest email that contained 3 attachments of entire transcripts of Goldman's speeches that Clinton gave. I'm not surprised that she didn't want these to become public because I found 2 gems, and the first is that she actually confirms what I've said for some time, which is that the Saudi Arabians are actively seeking to develop nuclear capabilities. Keep in mind, these are the same Saudis she took $25 million from. Much like the other day, it was revealed that she was well aware of the fact that Qatar was sponsoring terrorists, specifically ISIS, to the tune of millions. She took a $10 million donations from them through the Clinton Foundation. She also took $25 million from the Saudis, and of course we found it revealed yesterday that they were sponsoring ISIS too, which was, everyone knew that anyway. They speculated that it was true, but they're also trying to actively develop nuclear weapons, despite being a signee of the NPT. Which is, it's regrettable that apparently she intends to work with them and then proceeds to rant about Iran's influence and capabilities. To my knowledge, reading that never talks about them actively seeking nuclear weapons, just manages to put in that they're a major sponsor of terrorism, which is true. But it looks like the Saudis have outdone them because they want nuclear weapons and actually have a chance of obtaining them in the next decade or so. Iran's 50 years behind the North Koreans when it comes to those things. It's rather concerning. I'll read the quote here, and there's a link in the description to the actual email ID. It's an attachment, and I tell you the page and which attachment to actually look at. I use OpenOffice, so the format's not quite as perfect as it would be with Word. But that being said, the Saudis are not going to stand by. Specifically, she's talking in the context of the Syrian crisis, which apparently has spurred them on quicker to try to develop nukes. They're already trying to figure out how they will get their own nuclear weapons. Now, if Clinton were more intelligent, she'd probably realize, of course, the Saudis already funded the Pakistani nuclear program and have atomic weapons on short order from them. I'm assuming she's talking about either them trying to develop modern, fully nuclear weapons as opposed to primitive atomic ones, or that they're trying to figure out how to pool enough money together to buy back a substantial enough stockpile to use against their enemies. So it looks like there's a risk of an atomic conflict over Syria in this same zone that she expresses bewilderment about what's going on, confusion in general, and openly proclaims as well, and this is important too, that there are 50,000 fighters from Iran helping the Assad regime. Wouldn't it be worrisome if we actually ran a no-fly zone? She talks about, oh, well, we should do this as stealthily as possible and not get involved in a prolonged conflict. That's all well and good. You start bombing Iranian forces, and you're going to draw them closer into the war. They'll reinforce. They're not just going to go away. I don't think Clinton quite realizes this. So this is the first breaking leak of the day that I myself have dug out. I decided to read through the attachments, read her speeches. There are 3 of them there. The third is less interesting. It's also shorter. The first one's quite a doozy. The second one's pretty interesting, and that's where the next breaking leak that I'll talk about in a minute actually comes from. I'm going to try to keep this short. You can spread it around. Link again in the description. You should definitely spread awareness of this, because it looks like, just confirming what everybody knew and what she should have operated under the assumption of to begin with, which is the Saudis want nukes. They're going to get involved in Syria, potentially, eventually. That would cause a major regional conflict. And she's taking their money. Qatar gave Bubba Bill $1 million donation for his birthday in 2012. They gave the Clinton Foundation $10 million total. And the Saudis gave him 25, and these 2 regimes sponsor ISIS, and one of them is trying to develop nukes, which is a no-no. She's taking money from a state that's actively attempting to subvert international law. I find that a little bit revealing. That's about all. Peace.